Hey there. Do you feel lazy, unsatisfied, sluggish, or unmotivated? Then you're in the right spot because I want to give you a real life cheat that not enough people are utilizing, and I want you to be one of the few who does. Because in just 7 days, I want to show you how you can get a head start in life compared to if you did not utilize this technique. You're going to be waking up feeling refreshed and ready to conquer the day no matter what it is. Now, personally, this has been my go-to protocol every single time I'm going into a period of intense focus and growth, or if I notice that I'm getting too comfortable and too lazy. But before we actually get into the nitty-gritty of this technique, we first need to understand what this is and what we are affecting here, because this is in fact the power of dopamine and why this is so effective. All right. So, dopamine is a neurotransmitter that plays a very crucial role in our motivation, in our pleasure, and our reward system. But in today's world and our society, really, there is this excessive amount of dopamine stimulation. And all of this really leads to addiction and decreased productivity, making it a lot harder for a lot of people to reach their goals. So, what if you were then actually able to manage that better, understand it better, and use it to your advantage? Well, that's what more and more people have been doing in recent years, and they are truly becoming aware of its power. You may know it as dopamine detox. So, what is all this talk about dopamine and detoxes? Well, our brains naturally are constantly bombarded with dopamine, right? Some better than others. It really depends on your activity. You can get it from social media, you can get it from video games, you can get it from junk food, you can get it from drugs, and the list really goes on. But they don't all have to be bad necessarily or overstimulating, right? You can also get it from exercise, you can get it from socializing, you can get it from sex, amongst many other things. But we are focusing today on the things that truly overstimulate your dopamine receptors. Allow yourself to consume too much, and these distractions will derail you from achieving your true potential. But don't take my word for it. I mean, look at the countless studies that show how excessive screen time, ultra processed foods, general overstimulation can really just make you feel drained and unfulfilled. I mean, there is also a reason why anxiety and mental health challenges have been going up in recent years. And that's also a reason why I personally work in the mental health space, right? Now, this isn't really anyone's fault, and I'm talking about the way our brains react to certain types of stimuli. You see, our brains, whether it's mine or yours, have evolved this way as human beings, right? We possess this innate wiring that drives us to seek pleasure and avoid pain. And this is a mechanism that was developed for a world of scarcity and constant danger. I mean, from an evolutionary standpoint, it does make sense, right? It's a fantastic approach when you're in a situation where not finding food or water means death. However, in today's world, especially the West, this neurological mechanism that we have, it's not very ideal, as we can very easily access different indulgences just by swiping left or right, whether it's sex, weed, cocaine, any drugs, junk food, fatty burgers with ultra-processed trans fats, or whatever it is. It's just so easily accessible. Now, consequently, we're continually carrying this imbalanced dopamine load, right? Leaning towards pleasure most of the time, which causes us to crave even more intense forms of enjoyment, to feel anything positive. And it's also highly improbable that our reward systems and these circuits in our brain, they won't change during our lifetime. I mean, they've been like this for millions of years. And that is exactly why we have to learn how to handle and adapt to this reality to avoid experiencing depression, sadness, you get anxiety from it, and other just unwanted emotions. Now, to regain control of your life, improve your well-being, and become more resilient against this allure of our increasingly dopamine-driven society, it's crucial to concentrate on eliminating, minimizing, but then also substituting dopamine triggers for a duration of 7 days, aka the dopamine detox. Now, this period is, of course, intended to help your body return to that state of balance or homeostasis, as Dr. Jing Sung put it. And it's very, very simple. You will cut out everything that can overstimulate you. So, some of the activities that you have to cut out are social media. There is really no excuse for this unless you have to use it for work, in which case, use it on your computer or your laptop. Video games, there is also no excuse for this. Porn, just stay away from it, please. Junk food, don't touch it. Caffeine, personally, when I did this dopamine detox, that was a very small but tough adjustment to make. If you're not a heavy drinker of coffee, easy eliminate it because it does increase your dopamine levels. But if you absolutely must, you can keep it. The other is cigarettes, vapes, snus, no excuse there. And just in general, every other strong stimulant. And I don't want to sound like some, but stay away from it. Binge watching TV shows and movies, there is no excuse for this either. Mindless internet browsing, excessive shopping, gambling, recreational drug use, overconsumption of alcohol, excessive sugar intake, and procrastination for no reason. Now, I'm not saying here that you need to eliminate these for the rest of your life. No, this is only a period of 7 days to reset those dopamine receptors so that you can better navigate the world in a better way, right? Now, chances are you have probably indulged in some of those at least at some point in your life, right? You might even be doing it now. I know I have, definitely some of them. And there is really no shame in that, right? We can't all be perfect. But what we can do is we can fight against that strong urge and really go out there to pursue all our dreams and do what we want. And that's really the benefit with doing this, because you're essentially resetting that whole system. So before I wrap up and leave you to it, there is one final thing that is very important to mention. And I'm not going to lie here, this is not some walk in the park. And during your detox, you may face a few withdrawals and a little bit of a resistance. This is something that I also dealt with in my fight against gaming addiction. For a long period of time, I had pretty strong withdrawal effects and just kept going back to those games. But I've learned a lot, and as a consequence, I've got you covered with a lot of tips that really helped me out and just got me through it. So the first tip that I have is to write down why you want this change. Like, really ask yourself, go deep and sit down with a piece of pen and paper, or open up your laptop or even notes on your phone. Just make sure that you can write without being interrupted by any people or notifications. Now, if you do this, it adds a level of intent and meaning behind your decision to go and do this dopamine detox, to go on this 7-day challenge of resetting those receptors. My second tip is to track your progress. So once you have decided on all the things you need to cut out from your day-to-day for a full week, write it down and keep track of it. And what this does, it first of all, it helps you remember it on a daily basis, right? But it also helps to keep you accountable. This was something that I never did in the beginning, and I would always forget. I'm like, wait a second, didn't I tell myself, a couple of days ago or a week ago that I wasn't going to do this thing? So we are very prone to forgetting a lot of stuff. So what I've done is I have added a free resource in the link below where you can add your own activities you want to be taking a week break from. Now, finally, and this is also the most important, even if you fall back on one or two of the activities you weren't supposed to do during that, dopamine detox, do not quit it at all. Keep going. If you had a coffee, you watched a TV show or anything really that you weren't supposed to do, resist the urge to go all in again on everything else, or even think that you failed, because you didn't. You took that first step, and that is not something to take lightly. Now, I really encourage you to try this out, and I can almost guarantee you will feel better and stronger after that week. take it from someone who has actually been very focused on personal development over the last 3 years. So the one thing that I also want to include here at the end is sort of a bonus tip for the ones that really want to continue on a good streak after. I wanted to just give you a heads up of how you can really take charge and make the most out of this in the aftermath. So after your 7-day dopamine detox, you're naturally going to want to get back to a few of those activities, right? Like, it's not like you're going to quit social media for life or quit games or TV shows. Like, you're human, we're all human. So what you want to do is you want to look at, okay, which are some of the habits that ruin me, that just destroy my life, that I overindulge in, that I know that, if I spend 10 hours a day on social media, that is a sign of, hey, look, let's reduce that, okay? So you take one of those things that is the strongest, that you feel like ruins your life the most, and focus for 30 days on reducing that. Now, let's say that if it's social media, you spend 10 hours a day on social media. Instead of spending 10 hours a day, after your dopamine detox, obviously you didn't use social media for a week, so you should have had a reset of some kind. But when you get back to that week for 30 days, that's the one thing that you're going to track. You're allowed to do everything else that you didn't, that you weren't allowed to do during the dopamine detox. But for social media, add a limit, 2 hours, 3 hours. Decide on which limit is the most reasonable for you and stick to that for 30 days. That's the one thing that you're going to focus on. When it comes to smoking, when it comes to coffee, when it comes to movies and games and whatever it is that you want to do, go back to it, but just focus on the biggest thing that holds you back the most. Because if you do that, you're going to be a lot better at, and you're going to notice a big difference as well, but you're going to also be a lot better at just gaining back that control of your life, because you're essentially eliminating something that took a lot of your time from before. Now, if you really want to gain a lot of momentum after those 30 days, after you were really good, depending on, of course, the limit that you set yourself and the change that you've experienced after you didn't go on social media for 10 hours a day, add another thing, right? So what's another thing that also still holds me back? Oh, you know what? I'm not very good at this particular thing, or I'm not very good at that. Add that for 30 days. And then over a year, you've got 12 new things that you've gotten really good at or removed that held you back. So you're going to transform your life in a year. So I hope this could serve as some level of education or inspiration, or you feel like you want to take more control of your life. Take that first step towards change, go feel better, and make your life just a lot better. I cheer for you, and good luck, and I'll see you in the next one.